everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very special guest here for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
Of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Luis Garcia. I'm a filmmaker, single dad of two teenagers, and I'm located in Eastern Washington in a town called Spokane. Go Zags. That's what they say around here for Gonzaga University. And this weekend is Hoop Fest. That's something that Ice Cube supports. So I hope everybody that's in town this weekend enjoys Hoop Fest. And yeah, representation from Spokane, Washington.
Wow, I'm in. I'll give you a area where I'm in. I'm in Burien right now. So yeah, power on. So tell me about. It's not about me. Tell me about your past leading up into what you do now, sir.
All right. Yeah. Well, I have been in love with cinema and filmmaking since I was a child. I grew up in a very strict religion where we weren't allowed to do many of the other things that other kids were doing, like celebrate birthdays and holidays. So a lot of our escapism was in TV and film. That's where I found like a lot of escapism. And I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. Wrote my first screenplay at the age of 15, was making movies at age of 16. And was in film school and college and got lucky and was able to intern with Lee Daniels in Harlem for about 3 months, and that was I would consider my first real big break into the industry. And from there, I went on to be a background casting assistant for shows like The Sopranos and Third Watch and Law and Order, and then big films like Rent and The Departed. So someone that's in love with cinema, being involved with all those big projects was a huge milestone for me. But also as a writer, I was writing about my experiences growing up, in the church and growing up um, a Puerto Rican kid, that was mostly outnumbered by a lot of white kids and a lot of intersexuality happening in my life because I was brown, a Jehovah's Witnesses, gay kid, not a white kid, and just so many different things, right? That were, I wouldn't say against me, but I really just kind of stood out. And so I always use writing and humor and cinema as a way to kind of see the world through a different lens, and always use my
How do
writing.
you see the world in a different lens, seeing as though that you went through, obviously you went through things growing up with your heritage or whatnot?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
How do you see yourself? Um, how do you see your films through your lens, and how do you build upon them and have a neutral setting while being brought up the way you were brought up with being outnumbered or whatnot?
I always found that humor and being yourself and forming unlikely friendships was a common theme in my life. And I always seemed to gravitate towards the kid that no one would sit with at lunch or the kids that would pick on someone. I would always gravitate to those children growing up and would have wonderful friendships and just random friendships with, like, the janitor at school or tutors and things like that. So that theme is always in all of my scripts and always in my writing is unlikely friendships, because I think that happens more often than not. I think we grow as people when we have friends that we normally wouldn't have in our normal circle. And this film Marina is very much that. We have a single mom who's done some time and who's gotten out of prison, and no one would give her a job. But Lucho's dad, who owns this restaurant, his brother served some time too. He knows what it's like to need work when you serve time. So he gives Marina the chance to work there. And she falls in love with this little boy because she has a son that she can't see, for past circumstances. And they form a really unlikely bond. And the way I see it is that theme usually will help people get through a lot of darkness in their life too, is just really finding friendship where you normally wouldn't think you would find friendship. And that's what my stories highlight.
And tell me, like, do you create your, like, how many films have you created?
I've written about 9 original short films, a couple of feature films that I've written.
How
I
many
think
films have been produced in on film, actually set it on film?
On film of mine, let's see. I would say there's about 7 of mine right now on YouTube that you can
Nice.
find, and they're short films. I
Yeah.
did have a wonderful opportunity. I was ready for it, but I had an opportunity back in 2013 to do my first feature film in Los Angeles, and the timing wasn't right for that one. It's still something that I learned from. I will be back. I will be doing some other feature films for the
Mr. Garcia, I had a quick question. Can
yeah.
you adjust your speaker because it kind of went out a little bit?
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So tell me, you said you were in California. Let's rewind what you just said.
Yeah. So in 2013, I had the opportunity to shoot and write and direct and star in my own feature length film with a group of friends. And like I said, the timing wasn't as ideal. It's not that basically long and the short of it, the film isn't finished. We didn't get to complete it, but the experience, and that happens a lot of times. Films just don't get done. The experience of being on set, writing, directing, and acting in something that I came up with in Los Angeles was insurmountable. And I want that experience again. I'm getting that experience now with this current project. And I want to align myself for a life where I can do this full time and keep telling stories that elevate people.
I heard of I forgot his name. What is his name? The not El. I forgot his name, but he was on a movie with another Hispanic woman and Muchat. You know who I'm talking about? Machete.
Oh, Machete, Danny Trejo?
Yeah, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
So he sat up there and he went to jail
Hmm.
and he came out to do big things. He got his big break and did plenty of other movies other than Machete. Now, I haven't heard of a Puerto Rican, you're Puerto Rican, right? A
Yes.
Puerto Rican guy who is a director and producer, because that's what you are, right?
Yeah,
Director
right.
and producer
Yeah.
and writer, you said, I believe. And to come to Hollywood, they would need you. They would need somebody to look at the perspectives that you look at
Yep.
with your writing and your vision
Yep.
on Puerto Ricans and Hispanic people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I believe every director writer that's had the opportunity to make art or has found that opportunity or just gone out with their iPhone to give the world a perspective. Um, it's not about being the best storyteller. It's about having a perspective and sharing that with the world. And what you realize when you share your perspective, even if you touch one person, you've done
Mhm.
your job as an artist. Because I think there's a saying, I don't know who said it, but said, if each other's secrets we knew, how closer we would be as humans. And I think we think we're different, and we are different, but we're very much the same. And so a good story will tap into universal themes, and that's why people flock. I went and saw a Quiet Place 2 last night, or a Quiet Place Day 1 last night. Lupita, uh I forgot, I can't pronounce her last name. The actress Lupita. It's about aliens invading New York City. You know,
I love it. If
yeah.
anything about aliens, I love it.
But the thing is you can't make noise around the aliens, or that's how they get you. So you have to be quiet. So 90% of these movies, this is the third one now, they're either using sign language or facial expressions to communicate.
Oh
In the
my
yeah.
God.
So last
Talent.
yeah, and so it tells you that so much of our communication as people is through nonverbals, through the face or gestures. And I got lucky enough to to be taught sign language growing up in my church. My parents were interpreters, and so they taught me and my brother. And I've always been in love with the language and the community. And there's not enough representation of deaf people in media, and especially deaf people of color. There's barely none representation at all. And I really wanted to showcase the struggle and also do my best to lift up the marginalized classes in my film. So I'm looking to hire, deaf actors for the roles. We're looking to hire folks that I identify with the deaf community for the crew roles as well, and really raises the community that not a lot of people know about. So that's my intention here with this project and other projects as well.
So your theme, well said by the way. Your what is your theme? Do you look more towards the Puerto Rican Hispanic race or both black, white, and Puerto Rican Hispanic? Like what is your theme? What is your mission statement? What is your core values with being a producer, writer, and director?
I really want to m- I really want to highlight and lift up marginalized classes. It's not necessarily just Puerto Rican Americans, Latinx, Puerto Ricans. I have cousins that are blonde and have blue eyes. That's the nationality and the heritage we were given. It's a beautiful culture. I
Yes.
don't think a lot of people understand that Puerto Rico is even part of the U.S. I get asked all the time. Yeah, I've had people
I
ask
didn't
me
even know it.
when they find out my parents are from Puerto Rico. I've had people tell me even recently, "Oh wow, you speak such good English. Oh my god." And I'm like, "What do you think I should be speaking?" Like I speak Spanish a little bit too, and they're like, "Do you speak?" I've had people ask me, "Do you speak Puerto Rican?" And it's like, "Oh wow, you."
Whoa.
That's the
Whoa.
kind of thing. So I think marginalized classes. There's a lot of ignorance out there about marginalized
Yeah.
classes, and if we just do our best to understand different people, different cultures, we'll realize that we're all really wanting the same thing, right? We're all wanting the universal themes of friendship, love, acceptance, and that's what my films highlight. And so that would be my mission statement is just to have people think. My production company is called Ponder All Productions, and it's because I want people with my films to think about what they've seen and have it resonate with them long after they've seen the movie. And that's our goal, is to have people ponder, sit down, and embrace the differences and not be afraid to ask questions or be curious, and then also not be afraid to share their viewpoint on the world as well.
How are you going to take your films to the next level, my friend?
Yeah, well, so with Marina, even though we have a small budget, we're a small budget independent short film right now. I have not spared any expense in terms of hiring the best that I can for the departments, because as a director, you're in charge of all the departments. You got the casting, you got the filmmaker, like the actual director of photography, you have the lighting crew, and I'm just going off the best that I know. We have a producer and um, a director of artistic sign language who will be on set,
Mm.
making sure that everything we're doing also complements the culture and is true to the culture as well. Her name is Malini Chateau, excuse me, and she played a character in the show Master of None, the Aziz Ansari show on Netflix. And there was a whole episode where they just went off script or off the normal kind of storytelling that they tell, and it was all silent, and every character was deaf, and Malini was one of the actresses in that. And my brother, who's also a producer on the film, knows Malini from New York, and I sent her the script and I said, I need help getting the best people on this. Would you be interested? She jumped on, got us with a casting director named Danielle Demchek. And Danielle, her thing is finding people that are unrepresented in media and giving them an opportunity to audition and hopefully book the role. So I'm taking my film to the next level by having experts in their departments and then opening up to the community asking for help. Yes, we need donations. This is where your donations are going to pay people so people can actually have, a paid gig. We're not doing favors here or, deferred payments. And then I want to have a beautiful product to show producers and investors. And I want to get this to the next level by making a full length story um, of the story. Because I do believe it's such a beautiful story of friendship and redemption. And um, the whole thing really is, when you're a kid, Everybody remembers as a kid when you realize that your decisions affect adults. There's always that moment where you're like, oh, wait a minute, I hurt an adult's feelings, or I messed up this for this adult. And that's really what this is about, is this child realizing that his lying and sneaky ways really affect people on a deep level, and he's just trying to get himself out of it. And I think we've all been there. I think everybody can relate to messing up and really wanting to get out of a bad situation because we've made the wrong decision.
How do you think you're going to, well said, how do you think you're going to break out to get on the big screen with like maybe NBC or Lifetime? Because that sounds more like a Lifetime at first, and then probably do like the screen like Paramount or something. How do you want to break out to get to that point,
Well,
Garcia?
so in the industry, you need representation. You need agents, managers who believe that you're marketable, that your product is marketable, that your writing style is marketable. I'm always a writer first before I'm a film, a director or producer. So the way I would hope would be the next step is getting that representation that can bring my work and my portfolio to shows that need writers. I love to write. I have characters and dialogue going on in my head all the time. I love Chandra Rhimes and how many scripts Chandra's be able to pump out and write throughout the years. And that's Chandra's, main strength is writing, and then show running, producing, obviously. Grey's Anatomy, what we're on season 20 at this point. And so for me to break out, I would need representation that someone says, hey, this person can actually write and actually has a perspective, and I think could do well on this writing staff. I think we can give him a budget to do a little independent film or an episode of The Bear or something like that. There's baby steps to get to the grander thing, but at the same time, you also want to make your own content and not wait for those opportunities, but also make your opportunities. So I'm trying to be balanced, doing my own thing, showing the world what I can do, but also need help getting to the next level, obviously.
Well said. I understand what you're saying about having deaf people on the set, and that's a good thing. But what if you mingled real deaf people with people that aren't deaf and doesn't speak sign language in like a scary film or whatever film you want, that they're trying to, it's like Babel. I don't know if you heard of the movie Babel, where you're
Yes.
trying to talk to each other. They know proper sign language. They don't,
Hmm.
and they're trying to get out of a situation where they're talking to each other. What do we do? And that would be a great, because people will be like, wow,
Yeah.
like, how do you feel about that?
I'm First of all, I agree with you. That's a great premise. And then second of all, my first short film that won awards is just that. It's just that premise. And my short film Face is a 7-minute silent movie.
Yeah.
It's about a deaf college student that's drinking a carton of milk. He sees a missing little boy's face on the carton of milk, and then he puts the carton of milk down, and then he happens to see that little boy walk by with a stranger.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's not a so the whole movie is silent. There's music, and we don't. It's not kind of beat over our heads that this young man is deaf, but the kid and him obviously can't communicate because this stranger has the kid. So I really tapped into them just communicating with facial expressions and signs. And so I want to take that little movie, that's like my next big project, and make that into a thriller. I want to set it, maybe in the 80s in New York City, and
Yes.
just go for it. And really tap into the, and it's interesting because Quiet Place day one was very much that. It was like we can't talk because the aliens will hear us. So how are we going to get through each other? There was writing on notepads. There was a lot of this communication. So I like where your mind's at, because I'm there with you.
And where do you see yourself going for the future with everything? Do you feel also that you want to add like artificial intelligence with your movies? To, I don't know how you could. I don't know if it's possible, but add artificial intelligence with your set and the way you edit, versus no artificial intelligence, or however you want to do. What is your goals for the future?
So AI right now is a hot topic, very controversial with narrative directors and storytellers. When it comes to the artistic process, right now I'm not on board with AI being part of the artistic process right now at all. Now when it comes to saving time, uh my editor friends would probably kill me for saying this, but when you have a film that's like not edited together, the first thing you want to do is called like a rough assembly, like an assembly cut. Just putting what you think, you edit your own show, right? So
Yeah.
you know what it sounds like when it's not edited versus after. And so what you do is you kind of lay out all the tracks and you're like, I like this, I don't like this. So if AI could do that for you, that would be awesome, right? And then if you could oversee and give it prompts like, hey, I want a rough assembly cut of 45 minutes. Give me your best shot. Give me the best scenes, that look the best. If AI could do that for like, a TV show to speed things up, yeah. But as far as like writing scripts or any kind of like creative endeavors in that, I think, but also editing is a creative endeavor too. So we're dancing around a fine line. I think it's too early to say where AI would play a part in my philosophy of film. I'm just not there yet with the technology, and I don't want AI to take money off of my fellow artists, brothers and sisters' plates either. So we
Yeah,
have to be
like they
really
do
careful.
in Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I mean that whole strike thing. They weren't even asking for what 5%. It was like 5% of what's going on, and they held out for so long and put so many of my friends out of work, right? So, and then I found out one of the writers from The Bear, the Hulu show, that's amazing by the way, wasn't getting like paychecks from the show. He like got one paycheck. Could you imagine watching your work on Hulu? Millions of people are watching the show, loving the show, and you're not getting paid for it. I mean, come on. We have to do better. Meanwhile, the executives having two or three homes all over the world. I mean, come on. We have to do better for our artists, and I'm all
For
about it.
all those who don't know what happened, explain what happened and the outcome of what happened because we have like 8 minutes and 35 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a big Writers Guild and Actors Guild strike. God, and it was over 100 days long. Basically, actors, writers, everybody wanted to unify and get a better cut percentage of their work that went on, to be shown on streaming services, and also wanted to have perimeters when it came to using AI in the future. They wanted to get ahead of the curve, and studio executives held out for over 100 days. Meanwhile, people that are used to being on set daily for production assistant work or catering work or electrical work were just out of work for that time period.
What are they doing with AI, by the way? How are they using AI versus, people?
I think, well, I don't know of any studio actively using AI now, but I do know that for marketing purposes, A24 did like a poster. They had AI make some posters for that movie Civil War, and then as marketing purposes use different posters for their movie. And that was also, people get paid to make posters, so now AI is doing it. So I think they're sprinkling in their little talons with AI. But it's not, I haven't heard of an AI movie yet or anything. God forbid that happens, but they're thinking about it. It's in their um in the on the horizon for some of these studio executives. I mean, if you don't have to hire a writer, computer can do it. Well, that saves you what 100 grand right there. So we have to be really careful with this one. Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to acting, it all started out. I'm pretty sure definitely know more than me. So it all started out with a mirror, a lens, and like a little tube where they make the old-fashioned black and white cameras do the light from outside, and then it's amazing at what we came at now. But we need to learn how to be smart about this, and because people need jobs in
Mhm.
acting, we can't just single them out. That's the only, I love artificial intelligence, but that's the only problem I have is them using artificial intelligence to to blacklist writers and actors that and actresses that work hard to get where they're going, you know, and deserve to be in the spotlight. You know, the 1950s wasn't like that, you
No.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
so how can the people if you had to give a piece, I don't want to leave right now, if you had to give a piece of advice to a young entrepreneur out there, this is the last question,
Hmm.
a young entrepreneur out there that wants to be in your shoes and wants to do what you're doing, what would it be?
I would say listen to your heart. When people tell you you can't do something, go ahead and do it. There are no rules to this thing. Find your own opportunities. Write and make your own content and surround yourselves with people that will uplift you and uplift them, and always be as honest as you possibly can about your intentions, and always create. If it's a 10-second TikTok video doing a review on a movie, if it's a silly little movie you're making with your friends, give yourself a voice, let the world know who you are, and the rest will follow suit. And have faith. Have faith that you are here for a reason, and listen to your heart. And as long as those things align, you will be fine.
How can the people reach you?
Please go to marinathefilm.com. My TikTok is the Ponderall Podcast. My Instagram is the Ponderall Podcast. I do film reviews and videos and things like that. And yeah, just check me out there. Send me a message, and www.marinathefilm.com. Go there. You can send me a message if you want to work with us or support us. If you want to make a cash donation, please do. We'll call you out on the movie credits, and follow my journey. I'm excited to share this story with the world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia, for
Thank
joining
you.
my show. Stay on the line. You guys take care and thank you for rocking with me. I'll see y'all another time. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.